Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Women Focus Canada's webinar for today. It's July 15th, 2023, and the theme is Stress Detox, Recharge, Rebalance, and Rejuvenate. So I hope everyone is having a lovely good morning, and we're joined by many fantastic panelists or moderators, guest speakers. But first and foremost, I'm going to introduce our fantastic host, the master behind this whole entire organization, Dr. Oluremi Adewale. Now, Dr. Oluremi Adewale is a healthcare practitioner with over 20 years of experience in Canada as a leader, community advocate with an intersectional approach. She's a Canadian-trained registered nurse currently working as a mental health nurse consultant with a major municipality in Canada.
Thank you so much, Sana, for that warm welcome. Good morning, and a very warm welcome to all of you to this workshop on stress management. My name, as you have been told, is Dr. Oluremi Adewale, and I am the CEO and the founder of Women Focus Canada. Now let me introduce Women Focus Canada to you. Women Focus Canada is a non-for-profit and charitable organization focusing and dedicated to impacting lives positively. Before we start, I would like to begin this event by thanking the Almighty God by whose grace we are all gathered here today. I would also like to thank the organizers for working hard to put this event together. Thank you. Thank you to our coordinator. Thank you to the volunteers that have worked so hard to make this happen. Thank you to our moderator, our technical support, and our speaker for contributing their time and energy into making this workshop a success. And of course, I would like to thank our participants for taking the time to prioritize learning about self-care. We're gathered here today to address a significant issue that affects all of us in one way or the other. In our fast-paced and demanding world, stress is in everywhere. Stress is everywhere in our lives. Do you know a Gallup survey in 2021, which looked at 122 countries. Do you know that the survey found that 4 in 10 adults worldwide experience a lot of worry or stress? So that means stress is a universal experience, and it presents itself in various forms. Sometimes the stress may be related to our work. Sometimes we do experience financial stress, relationship stress, and many, many more. It affects our mental and physical health, our relationships, and our overall quality of life. However, it is important to remember that stress is not unbeatable. Rather, it is a challenge that we can overcome by teaching ourselves and adopting healthy and coping mechanisms to assist you in managing your stress effectively. Today, we will explore a range of practical techniques and strategies, from stress management techniques to relaxation exercises. We will learn how to regain control over our lives and how to create a balance between work, personal commitments, and self-care. So today, our speaker will provide you with evidence-based approaches and real-life examples that will inspire and motivate you on your journey towards joyful and peaceful living. If you enjoyed today's workshop, I'd like to remind you that this is not the only event on self-care that we do as organization. We have an upcoming workshops on seniors and nutrition at the same time next Saturday on July the 22nd. Just to clarify that this upcoming workshop is intended for everyone. If you are interested, we will be more than happy to share more details with you before the end of this workshop. So we invite you to bring your family, your friends with you, so they may also benefit from learning about well-being and self-care. So in addition to workshops, Women Focus Canada has been busy working on quite a few events. Our team has been striving towards our mission, which is to relieve poverty in Canada through collaborative delivery of transformative programs. To this end, we have just ramped up a program where female identifying students in publicly funded high schools and universities in the Greater Toronto area have completed training workshops on leadership and professional development, while they learned about civic engagement process. We are also working on sending elementary and high school students diagnosed with diabetes to a special camp where they can enjoy the camp experience in a safe environment that prioritizes their well-being. Through initiatives such as this, Women Focus Canada is committed to empowering youth and engaging them in building their communities and lifting them out of poverty. To learn more about this initiative and our impact, please visit our website. We cannot do this pivotal work without your support. There are quite a few ways to get involved with us and join us on our mission to change the world. You can join our mentorship programs by applying to be a mentor to a young person. You can also donate to our cause by clicking the donate button on our website. If you go to www.womenfocuscanada.org, you can do that. Either way, we welcome your support. Once again, I extend my warmest welcome to all of you. Let us embrace this workshop with energy, with open mind. Remember, by investing in our well-being, we are investing in a brighter and healthier future. Now it is my delight to invite you, our moderator for today, Rachel. Prashant, please take it off. Thank you all and enjoy this wonderful workshop. All to you, Rachel.
Thank you, Dr. Remy, for that wonderful, warm introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel, and I will be the moderator for today's session. I want to welcome all of you to today's session on stress detox. I'm sure this topic is one we can all relate to. Okay, and now, without further ado, it's with great pleasure that I introduce our speaker today, Olabisi. Olabisi Adewumi-Soile is a graduate of Humber College, a registered practical nurse licensed in Ontario and Alberta. She also has a bachelor's degree in business management, worked as a clinical nurse manager for over 10 years. Olabisi is a vast community nurse where she has practiced family health nursing as well as sexual health nursing for 14 years. She has worked in the Public Health Department of Infectious Diseases Control for 2 years. She has a career interest in diabetic education and preventative health education. She's managed several family health clinics and currently is a frequent speaker at different community events. She has a passion for preventative health and is currently teaches healthy relationships and sexual health on different platforms under the Ontario Trillium Foundation. When not attending to the needs of her patient, she is a devoted mother of 2. Olabisi is progressing towards her bachelor's in nursing at the University at Athabasca. And I welcome Olabisi to share with us your knowledge and wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you, Sana. Thank you for that warm welcome. I'm really honored to be on this platform. Thank you, Dr. Remy. I appreciate what you do. And I was well introduced, my passion really goes to preventative health. So without much ado, I'm just going to go straight into the PowerPoint presentation today. And like Rachel said, please put your questions in the chat as we go and just follow along. And yeah, just hope you're able to learn something new today. All right, stress, as we all talk about on a daily basis, we know everybody experiences stress one way or the other. And sometimes we think we even know what to do about our stresses, but we find out that we never find a way to follow suit on, taming the stressors in our lives. Well, first of all, let me go through the agenda of what we have today. We're going to define what stress is. We're going to talk about how it affects our health. We're going to talk about the coping strategies, and then we're going to go into a bit of mindfulness, and we're going to do some exercise on how to manage our stress this morning. So if I go to the next slide, I'm just going to go to the nature of stress. It is a definite normal part of life, and there are stress can be classified into 2. There are good stressors and there are bad stressors. A good stressor is one that actually pushes you towards attaining a good goal. So let me say, you're exercising and trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle is a good stressor. It's stressing you to become better. So stress cannot be negative in all ways. There are good stressors and there are bad stressors. It becomes a bad stressor when it becomes chronic and it becomes negative. When it starts to be a problem to your physical and your mental health. There's also something called the negative brain bias. This is something where you take a negative, it affects you more than the positivity in life. So it takes about 5 positive things to happen for you to get over that negative thing in your life. So if we move over to the next slide, I'm just going to show you a good diagram of how stress works in your body. So let me take an example of a stressor in our life. And the most common stressor right now, if you're living in Canada or outside Canada, I think it's kind of universal, is the financial stress. Everybody deals with that every day on a daily basis. You're managing your home, you're managing your finances, you're managing your business, you're managing everything, and finances help in everything. And suddenly it tends to affect your mood. It starts from the brain. The brain is the major powerhouse, and it sends signal to the body slowly, one after the other. So slowly you see this a form of anxiety, there's a form of anger, there's a form of depression, there's irritability, there's lack of energy and concentration. You're having insomnia, that is lack of sleep, you're having headaches, and slowly, gradually moving towards the mental sides where you're having panic disorders, you're having so many things not just working right. How does it affect your heart when it gets to the negative? The blood pressure, the way the body is made to work is the body actually compensates. So when the brain is overthinking and stressed, the heart kicks in to compensate and help as well, thereby pushing more fluid, trying to send more blood to the brain. So the heart kicks in too, and then the blood pressure is increased. And then your cholesterol level at the same time, increases, so putting you at a risk of a heart attack. Your immune system is also affected. You're slowly pushing white blood cells to start fighting things. You're weakening your immune system because everything is kicking in to work and to fight the stress. Also, the GI, that is your stomach, your gastrointestinal unit, it starts to work. The enzymes are working, everything is working, that's just how the body is meant to work. Everything is working together to kind of, relieve the stresses you're going through. And then some people, that's why you find that when some people are going through stress, you see they have irritable bowel, they're going to the bathroom more than they usually do. Some get nauseous. If you go through a sudden trauma, people get nauseous, and some people get more hungry, some people have loss of appetite. So everything kind of works together. Now let's go to the sexual part of the body system. There's also loss in libido. That comes from mental state too. It can be, it comes from the mental state where you don't have the hope to do anything. There's some form of hopelessness. So there's a reduction in your libido, and even both men and women. And sometimes you get abdominal cramps, your menstrual pain comes, your menstrual cycle comes with so much pain. And then slowly, let's go to the bones again. It goes straight to the bones, and then the body is fighting, is trying to, like I said, the white blood cells is working, there's anti-inflammatory working, and suddenly you have the pain in the joints, you have pains in your bones, you find that, and people are wondering, why am I in pain? I didn't lift anything, but there's something called the psychosomatic. That means you're having something psychologically, but it's beginning to show in the body. So when we talk about health, everything works together. So your mental, your physical, everything works together. And your body is a system that's kind of trained to help fight it. So common signs of stress, like I already said, you're irritable. So when you find things like that, sometimes you need to take a pause and think, if you're feeling irritable, you're feeling a sense of hopelessness, you're feeling a sense of dejection, and you're just losing control. You need to be intentional. In our daily living, there's always going to be stress. So one has to have a mental note that I have to be intentional about controlling my stress. It is a daily work in progress. It's not something you achieve in one day. It's an ongoing thing. So you start a day at a time by training yourself. Sometimes you have headaches. It's not because you're not feeling well. Sometimes it's because of the stresses you're going through. So just take a conscious note and take a little side back and just think, what is stressing me out? Sometimes it goes to shortness of breath. You're finding it difficult to breathe. And then you're not just interested in what is going on. And then random pains, like I said. So when you sense all the symptoms, even though I'm a nurse, and sometimes I tend not to be biomedical, we try to get to the cause of what you're feeling. So first of all, get into the cause of what is causing the headache before trying to treat it. Understand what is causing it before, because sometimes even just taking medication might not help because you haven't gone to the root cause of what is causing all these problems. So it's an intentional mindset. It's, your brain is the one who actually has to take you back. What is causing my stress? And then you now develop a plan on how you're going to go about dealing with it. If we go to the next slide, it just shows more of what I've been talking about, how it affects all the systems in your body. And I'm going to touch more on the sleep disturbance. As small as we talk about sleep, I cannot overemphasize how important sleep is to the body. When your body gets rest, it rejuvenates. And when people are not getting sleep, obviously your body is not rejuvenated, and that increases your stress level. I have talked about the cardiovascular system, that's your heart. I've talked about the immune system. I've talked about your digestive system, and I'm concentrating more on the sleep because that is a part that I know most people who are going through stress have an issue. You find it hard to go to bed because there's a lot on your mind. But we do have to make a conscious effort in making sure that that body and your brain is well rested. There's also a school of thought called the act of doing nothing, where you just shut down your brain for a little bit and just let it calm down and just take away all, all that's going on, all that's working in the brain, and just slow it down for a little bit. In the course of this presentation, we're going to go through so many ways of how we can do this. So if I just go to the next slide now, this is the mental side that I talked about earlier. Everybody has some form of anxiety. We all go through anxious periods. We all go through some state of depression where something happens and it kind of lowers you down. But we have times where you forget things, you don't even remember where you put your keys, and that is not dementia at this stage. Okay, so you put your keys somewhere you can find it. Sometimes it's just a sign of being stressed, of not being cognitive, not knowing what you're doing. And there are times you're just snapping. It gets relational. You're irritable to the people around you. You're not tolerant, and it's not because you're crazy, and it's not because you're hormonal. It's sometimes just the stress pressure you're going through. And we find people eventually turning into substance abuse, the use of alcohol, and the use of some narcotics to just suppress that feeling. In some cases, in some chronic cases, the use of medication and narcotic and antidepressant can be used to suppress it. But I'm talking on our day-to-day life right now. You don't necessarily have to go through, the medication part. We can try other options in lowering our stresses. Okay, so if we can just move on to the next slide. This is talking about the different kind of stresses we have. And in the recent times after COVID happened, we find that the work environment is not the same. People had to learn how to work virtually, like we're doing right now, the emergence of Zoom, how we get to do things virtually. And then now slowly going back, because right now, if people are beginning to go back, that's another stressor on its own. You're used to working from the comfort of your home, and now you have a stressor of work going back. And then the workload actually changed. Well, in the medical field, we all know what the workload became in the time of the pandemic. And it becomes a stressor when you lose control, when you don't have control of how to manage your workload. And then you end up being burnt out, and the job doesn't actually look very enticing to you anymore. We all know that most of us spend most of our hours at work rather than we spend at home. You spend at least, the minimum most people spend at work, most people spend is 8 hours at work. You spend about 2 or 4 hours commuting. And by the time you get home, before you get to your sleep, you only have probably like 4 hours to deal with your family. So the work area has already taken most of your day. So learning to make your workspace a place that is conducive intentionally. Sometimes there are other factors that could affect it, but being intentional about making your workspace that conducive environment that does not stress you, so it does not trigger to your commute and does not trigger to what you take home at the end of the day, and does not trigger to end up affecting your sleep pattern at night. So another type of stressor is the financial stress that I talked about earlier. And that is a very common with every race, ethnicity, and everywhere. It's a geographical stress. It's one that goes, the global universal one that goes around. Everybody's worried, how do you pay your bills? How do I, manage your home? How do I, buy things that you think is necessary to keep you going? And another one is the relational, that's relational stress. That's a big one too, because the people around you are a factor of your environment and your living, your daily living, and your mindset as well. So you need to kind of know how to sieve the unhealthy and the healthy relationship. It's a personal it's a personal consensus. You have to really try to work on it and be intentional about, oh, I have to know what is healthy and what is unhealthy. And there's some situations where you think, I can't leave the situation, but you have to try and work on it and make it a healthy relationship. So it's on you to also work on making sure that the relationships that we keep are healthy. And if it's the unnecessary ones, the unhealthy ones that are giving you some health headaches and all that, can you please just look for a way of slowly walking out of that or keeping yourself out of that? So there's the withdrawal, you withdraw from social distraction and all that. If you have to take time to really weigh things and understand, oh, what is a healthy relationship and what is an unhealthy relationship? Whatever is causing you grief at that time is an unhealthy one. If you're feeling uncomfortable around some group of people, that is unhealthy. You have every right to pull yourself away from that. I'm a very strong advocate of keeping healthy relationship, because some people tend, even with family members, people tend to think, oh, I'm stuck in here. Oh, yes, you can move yourself out, because eventually it's going to get to a health problem and you're all alone in it. So if we move to the next slide, before I go too deep into the healthy and unhealthy relationship, we move to the next slide, and we're going to talk of other things that could cause changes and stresses in your life. Moving to a new environment, you're migrating from one country to another. There's the culture shock, there's the learning and the new assimilation of your environment. That is a big stressor. Understanding daily routine, even the weather. Some people are coming from tropical weather and then suddenly moving into a cold zone, and where you don't even understand how to dress for it. These are stresses, but gaining education on what to do and planning is a good step on going through these things. Academic stressor. I am currently in school, so I totally understand this. In the healthcare sector, you're always learning. There's always something new. There's always new invention, new innovations going on, and things that are changing in the medical field. So learning can be a stressor, but this is how I put it to myself. There is never any knowledge that is lost. It always helps you on the long run. So keep learning. It only makes you better. And knowledge is power, like they say. So keep learning. It could be stressful, but always think of the end. The end always justifies the means. Planning also is big in terms of academics. You plan from the beginning, you make a strategic way of how you're going to go about it. That kind of lowers the stressor. Other stressors are health-related stresses. Some things cannot be avoided because they're hereditary, right? Some people have ongoing chronic pain, could have caused by an accident or trauma. People have ongoing health issues, not because they lived an unhealthy lifestyle, but it just happened. We're just different. We're just different. And people go through that. So this is what I tell people. You have to take charge of your own health. Yes, we have physicians, we have people in place that can help in managing your health, but be involved, get educated in what you are being treated for. Be in the know-how, understand how your medication works, understand the medication you're using, understand how it reacts with other things, your lifestyle, your feeding, what you eat, and how you sleep. You have to understand all of that so that it reduces the strain on your health system. So I'm going to go to the next slide, and if you can go to the next slide. Yes, I'm going to talk about the stress management techniques. So a very, very easy one, as easy as it seems, is the breathing exercise. I have used this in my practice as a nurse over the years, and I have seen it work magic. I've worked with special needs kids. I've worked with babies, a lot of babies and parents. I've worked in family healthcare. And when I see people anxious and people stressed about them, the first thing I say to them, just breathe. as simple as it sounds, the act of just taking a deep breath takes your mind off a lot. You take a big breath, fill up your lungs as much as you can, and then you exhale slowly. While you're exhaling, you're slowing down the pace of everything, your heart rate, you're slowing down your digestive enzymes, you're slowing a lot of things down. It just brings you back, it brings you grounded. So I say take a deep breath. If you can do that right now, just take a big breath in and exhale slowly. If you can try that again, you take a big breath in with your full mouth in and exhale slowly. It works magic. It slows down everything. It makes you grounded, and it just relieves you for a moment. Even the tension at the back of your neck, at the back of your shoulders, just take a deep breath and exhale. So there's also the mindfulness practice. There's something called the voice tuning. There's the meditation that works with the sensory. So if you believe in meditating, it actually works. Just taking time to just zone out. You practice your meditation and then the breathing, and then, listening to music, even music and distractions, good distractions are things and ways you can practice mindfulness. And progressive muscle relaxation. You can just do even yoga, simple stretches, If I had more time on this presentation, I could have taken you through some simple, exercise and practice you can do, but because of it, we can learn more. So if I just go to the next slide, and I'm just going to talk about why it's important to manage your stressor. If we don't manage the stressor, it's going to manage you. That's the way I say it. If you don't take charge, it's going to take control. You're going to lose control. You're going to lose your finances. You're going to go bankrupt. It's going to affect your marriage. It's going to affect your relationship with your kids. It's going to affect relationship with your friends. So you have to take charge. It's something you have to take on yourself. Get organized. Have a budget. I have had to change my budget like 5 times with the new financial situation. We all know, interest rate is going crazy over and over. I've had to sit down and do another budget again. Like, okay, what do I have to cut down? What can I cut down? What do I, it's just practical. It's a day-to-day thing. You have to just make it work. Nobody's going to make it work for you. So you determine, what do I do? You take distractions that will take things that will take you away from planning. Take time to sit down and make a good plan, a budget plan. I'm big on that. Make a budget plan. I'm still not there. I'm still learning. I'm still learning to get there to having a good budget plan. It's very hard when income is not increasing. I'm sure all of you can relate to that. And every other thing around you is increasing. But please still make a budget. It still helps. Create a budget. Make it a lifestyle. It's going to be with you forever. Always plan. Even budgeting in how you eat, what you put in your system. You plan what you're going to eat. Make sure it's healthy. Don't just eat. Don't just sit with a bag of chips and just drown in it. Plan, have a good plan of what food I'm going to do today. Go hiking. Take little baby steps. Go hiking. Take time out. Take time out and say, oh, I'm going to take 2 hours nap today. Rest. Talking with somebody. Share, talk, discuss, like we're doing now. We're talking, we're learning, we're feeding off each other. We're learning. Learning is good. It helps. It opens your mind to a lot of things. So don't stay close to learning. We don't know it all. We're all learning every day. So you keep learning, you prioritize your tasks. What is important? What do I have to do first? You put it, if you use Post-it, please do use Post-it. Post them all around as you can. And build a good social network. Have people that are supportive around you. Overall, make sure that the relationships you have around you are healthy. So it is a conscious effort you continually have to keep doing. It's an ongoing thing. It's a daily process. Things change. When it's changed, you move with the paradigm. You keep moving with it. Finances change. You move. If you get more income, good, even better. You make another budget. You plan. Don't just say, oh, you have more money and spend. No, you're going to see that you're worse off than when you had more. if you don't plan. You're just going to find that the money is just going out the door. So planning is key. Make a mental note to work on it. So I'm just going to take you to a nice video. I can keep going on and on about talking about how we can deal with our stresses, but I want us to take a quick look at this video that I will share right away. Just give me 1 second here. Just trying to maximize my screen. And I will share that in a sec. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm going to share the sound. And there we go.
I'm Dr. Tracy Marks, a psychiatrist, and in this video, I'll be talking about mindfulness meditation and how to practice it. Mindfulness is simply paying attention to your environment, activities, and thoughts in a neutral and non-judgmental way. So you're limiting your thoughts to your present situation. If other thoughts intrude on this process, you bring your attention back to the present. For example, if you're mowing the grass, think about the things that you see, smell, hear, and taste and feel while you're cutting the grass. Ideally, avoid thinking about your unpaid bills, your relationship issues, the past, the future. You only want what is happening in the present moment. Practicing mindfulness helps declutter your mind. When your mind gets cluttered, you feel stressed. And this can come in the form of feeling tense, tired, overwhelmed, irritable. Not only can this affect you negatively, but it can also affect your relationships with the people most important to you. If your mind is overloaded, you can become emotionally unavailable and not fully engaged with the people around you. This is what happens when you're having a conversation with someone and you don't remember any of the details of what they said because you were thinking about your to-do list. In the short term, the person on the receiving end knows you're not listening. In the long term, you miss time with that person that you can't get back. So how do you remedy this problem when you have a busy life that you can't change? You live each moment mindfully. Now, you don't need a meditation pillow or hot stones to do this. You simply need to purposely focus on what you're doing at any given moment and block out everything else. And this doesn't have to take a long time, and a little goes a long way. You can do this while you're waiting at a traffic light. For example, where do you keep your phone when you're driving? Do you pull it out to check messages when you're waiting for the light to turn green? Instead of doing that, take in the glory of your surroundings. What if it's just a bunch of cars in traffic? Well, there's got to be some nice cars to look at. But look at the trees and the buildings in front of you. Think about how these things were created. Even if it's an ugly building, it's someone's architectural creation. And many people worked hard on that building. If you're running an errand or buying groceries, for example, instead of thinking about all the things that you need to do after you leave the store, take in the environment. Notice the lighting in the store, the temperature of the room, the sounds of the people talking. How many credit card machines do you hear? That's an example of being fully present in the moment instead of being there physically while your mind is on other things. Now, I've focused on how mindfulness helps your mind and how you relate to people, but mindful eating is a way to control your eating. So instead of watching television and checking emails while you're eating, focus on the texture of the food, the aroma, the taste. Think about how many times you have to chew the food until you can get it to the point where you can swallow it. Now you may think, I don't have time for that. But in reality, slowing how you eat may only add another 10 minutes to your meal. And the time you spend at traffic lights may only be about 5 minutes in total. And what did you gain in that 5 minutes? Whatever it is, it's at the expense of letting your mind run full steam ahead. So what's the problem with thinking too much? Your mind doesn't rest, but your mind needs to rest. If your mind is too busy all day, it will get overstimulated, and then you'll have trouble falling asleep at night. Now, you may say, well, if you're thinking about the present moment, you're still thinking. Well, yes, but it's controlled thinking that you deliberately make positive and neutral. So here's an example of uncontrolled thinking. Let's say you're working at your computer and you look out the window and you see a delivery truck drive by, and the truck reminds you of one that collects money. Then you remember that you need money to put in your child's bag this morning. Not sure if you did that. And then that makes you think about your child's tooth pain and wonder if it's going to be a huge dental bill. Then you remember you need to research the insurance exchange because your COBRA benefits expire at the end of the month. And you hear that the average deductible is $5,000. Will it cover your wife's expensive blood pressure medicine? Now you're stressed out and aggravated, and all this came from glancing outside and seeing a truck. Mindful observation of that truck would be to notice the glossy paint on the truck and whether or not it's driving fast or slow. Is the pavement wet? Is the sun shining? These are simple observations of the environment that are neutral and not connected to any unpleasant aspects of your life. Here are 4 steps to start practicing mindfulness. Number 1, be aware. This means to be aware of everything in your environment as well as everything that you're doing and thinking. Keep your focus on the present moment. Number 2, don't multitask. Do one thing at a time. You're actually more efficient if you complete one thing at a time anyway. Number 3, be intentional with mundane tasks. Be focused on the task rather than getting the task over with. So if you're washing dishes, focus on washing each dish and keep repeating that thought until all the dishes are washed. If you wash the dishes while you're thinking about how much you hate washing dishes, you'll still get the dishes washed, but when you do it mindfully, you finish with less negativity. Number 4, listen when other people are talking. Don't think about your to-do list or what you're going to say next. Listen to every word the person says as if you need to repeat it back to them. I challenge you to spend 10 minutes each day in mindful activity. You may want to do it toward the end of the day when your mind is the most full, and see if it helps you unwind and relax. Leave me a comment.
All right. So that's a challenge for all of us. It's baby steps. Be mindful about everything you do. Take time.
Just a quick note, Olabisi. I just wanted to remind everyone, if you do have questions, please feel free to post them on the Q&A box or use the chat feature, and we will absolutely get back to them at the end of the webinar. Thank you. Go ahead, Olabisi. Thank you.
Thank you. So on that note, I'm going to let everyone ponder a little bit. And, stresses are always going to be there. So just be mindful, be intentional about not letting it take over your life, okay? Thank you for joining. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Remy, I suppose. Or Rachel. Rachel.
I'll take it. Thank you, Olabisi. That was a wonderful, wonderful, helpful presentation. So much information there. I love how, you talked about how stress affects every part of the body and all the systems, and you gave us some really practical techniques to incorporate in our daily lives. And I'm sure I will be taking some of those away, and I'm sure all the audience and participants will also be taking those strategies away and incorporating them. Thank you so much, Olabisi. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And of course, thank you to our wonderful speaker, Olabisi, and thank you all for taking time out to learn and connect.
Thank you so much. We hope you can join us again. It takes a few seconds for you to click on the link if you have not registered for the upcoming webinar. It's going to be fantastic. It's not intended for only the senior. What we eat is important important. Please click before you leave today. It's in the chat. It takes your name, I think your own name and one other thing. It will ask from you. We thank you so much. We hope you have learned something. And please visit us on our social media platform. Support our cause. We have a lot of interesting events coming up. We appreciate if you have time to volunteer. Please reach out to us. info@womenfocuscanada.org is our email address. We thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful day. We saw those comments. We appreciate you. We cannot do this without you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Greetings from Nigeria. Bye-bye.
Thank you all the way from
Bye-bye.
Nigeria.
Bye-bye. Okay,
Thank you,
bye.
everybody. People who are from every part of the world, we appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.